Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Friday forecast from the LFC Daytrippers. I'm Gav, and with me tonight I have got Chris Brack and I have Joe from All Leeds TV. Grizz was supposed to be with us, but he's being held up in work, so that won't be happening tonight. He's doing a bit of proper work for once, which is great to hear. People have seen this show before; they know how it works. People that haven't, this is how it works. We go through the majority of Premier League fixtures over the next 45 minutes or so. It's going to be a slightly shortened show tonight. But 45 minutes or so, we'll have a little chat around the teams that are involved, what we think may happen. And as a little bonus tonight, we're going to try each pick 3 anytime goal scorers for the weekend. Now, if you want to do that as well, have a listen to the fixtures, have a listen to us, have a chat about it, put your stuff, your opinions in the chat. I'll try to get as much as I can up on screen. And at the end, we'll all have a go at picking 3 goal scorers. Joe, how are you?
Good, mate. Yeah, really good. Looking forward to another big game this weekend against City. Yeah, it's what we're in it for.
They keep coming, don't they? And it would have been perfect with fans in the ground, 5:30 on a Saturday. It would have been absolutely hopping. But as such as things are, that can't be the way it goes. But we'll have a little chat about Leeds and indeed Manchester City before the end of the show. Chris, you were on the other night, I think, after the defeat in the League Cup. Am I right?
Yeah, that was a very chipper as always.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, fair play to the lads, because Liverpool fans doing match previews or match reviews after Liverpool have lost is it doesn't happen very often, so it feels a bit weird. But look, it was one of those things where, you know, of course, they should have won the game. They didn't. They got done on penalties. Few bits and pieces this evening though. Before we start, Liverpool related. Ryan Brewster, of course, has signed for Sheffield United. 19 million up front, 4.5 million in add-ons or something along them lines. He signs for them. We have a 15% sell-on clause and we have a buyback clause which can be activated anytime in the next 3 years. At the other end of the spectrum, Sadio Mane has been confirmed as having COVID-19. He will go into self-isolation for 10 days and will miss the game against Aston Villa. Should be back for the derby against Everton. Hopefully that's the end of it with regards to Liverpool's squad. Of course, Thiago Alcantara has it, and now Sadio Mane, it looks like, is confirmed as having it. Yes, the club have confirmed it, says Guirav. So there we go. Hopefully that's the end of it there, and at the end of it amongst Premier League players, fingers crossed, because if we start getting 2 or 3 from every squad, we may see a stop to this season, and if it stops this early, they may write it off. They may do. You never know. But I'm going to get into it, and I'm going to start with Everton. People will be delighted to know. And Everton are, of course, 3 wins from 3, 9 points, wins against Tottenham, wins against West Brom, and a very good win last week, in my opinion, away to Crystal Palace. Joe, I'm going to come to you first. You know, people, and you might have been on with us when we were speaking about, you know, different bits and pieces and clubs and what they could do, and you know, we even spoke about Leeds and how they could measure up to the likes of Everton and Southampton and others. But what do you make of this start from Everton? Because I've been quite impressed. I'm not expecting it to last into the back end of the season because of the squad they have, but it's been impressive so far, hasn't it?
Yeah, so impressive, mate. I mean, Dominic Calvert-Lewin has just come flying out of the blocks, you know. Deservedly so. Got an England call-up as well. I think he's been absolutely immense. The signing of Alan, I think, has really added some solidity there in midfield as well. The core box-to-box, I think Richarlison's really good. James Rodriguez, for me, has been different gravy as well. And, of course, they've got Ancelotti. Like you say, it's just whether or not they can last out for the full season. Defensively, still probably, you know, areas to improve on. Pickford in goal. But in terms of the start, you couldn't have asked for anything better. And I fancy them to. I think Brighton have been good, but I fancy them to get a result again this weekend and make it 4 out of 4. To be honest,
I do as well. To be honest with you, I think Brighton have been good, but you know, very unlucky against Manchester United last week. Let's be honest about it. You could argue, was it a penalty, was it not? But even just the circumstances shows a bit they were a bit unlucky. They have had a win away to Newcastle. They were beaten at home by Chelsea in the opening day. They have got 3 points from 3 games, but they have been decent. Chris, when you look at this game, you know, I've looked at Everton's first 8 or 10, and I think they're quite quite generous. Now I know they play Liverpool in the derby, the game after next, but it's quite a generous start for Everton, and you could argue if they can get out of the first 10 games with 6-7 wins, they could just think the world's their oyster, couldn't they?
It does set them up, because it probably sets them up for what they need, which is Europa League football. I know some Blues who look down the nose, say it's a pain in the arse, but I think it's what they need. They need regular European football to carry on attracting the Alans and people of that quality. This is probably the first summer in a while I've seen Everton where you've gone, there's actually a plan. You look at what they're going, what did they need? They needed someone who's a bit of a destroyer in midfield. They got Alan. They had no mobility in midfield. I mean, Sigurdsson doesn't move. So you bring in Decore, who, a lot of clubs were looking at. And then, they were able to get a bit with their man, because of the manager is, that extra little bit of class in James Rodriguez. He is a slight risk because we all know his injury record is in and out, but you can't deny, when he's on the ball, and they've now sorted out. I always said my big issue with Everton was always, I think their back fours are ticking time bomb to fall apart, because it has done every year. So they've now signed Ben Godfrey. You've gone, well, that's again another solid thing you need. The only thing that surprised me with Everton is I'd have put money on their first signing being a goalie, because I do think that is still the weakest link of their team. I think the goalie's just an accident waiting to happen. If they had a slightly better goalie, I think you'd be fine, because you just know with Pickford at some point it's going to cost them. You knew it with Joe Hart after a while. The last few years in City, it cost them eventually, and I think that's probably the only area now where you look at Everton and go, if you had a better number one, do you know what? There's a lot of teams that won't want to play Everton.
Heirs of the Cop says Everton are dark horses. Don't sleep on their manager. Second best in the Premier League for him. Darren Whelan says, hey Darren, he says Liverpool will be a huge test for Everton. I fancy us to go there and score, which we haven't in a while. The thing I would say about that, and I agree with you, I think Pickford is not. How he's England number one is beyond me. Is he still England number one? I think he might be.
Yep.
But how he is beyond me. It's not even the mistakes he makes, it's his reaction to mistakes he makes, or when he gets away with something he finds it really funny.
It's like a nervous twitch.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about him. The only thing I would argue against you, Chris, is that I think it's easier to sign some players that can protect your back four and goalkeeper than it is to sign a goalkeeper and ask him to be a 10 out of 10 every week because he hasn't got the protection in front of him. And I think that's what Everton have looked to do in Alan and Decore, and they're looking to occupy teams more up the pitch with James Rodriguez, who doesn't sprint, doesn't close down, doesn't do anything. So he's literally standing up. But this might be a ploy. Literally stand up the pitch and they'll keep two back to look after you. You know, the kind of way. So it lessens the threat at the other end. And Ancelotti, he's a brilliant manager. There's no two ways about it. You know, I felt coming into the season, if they had a bad start, or, you know, if you have a bad middle to the season, I can't see him lasting beyond the season. Now, listen, that could still happen, but the way things have started, I think they've been excellent. We'll have to wait and see on the size of the squad. Somebody says that they're in for Godfrey from Norwich. I don't know if that's been confirmed.
I think Joyce said last night they'd agreed a fee of 25 for him.
Yeah,
okay.
I'd seen something like that.
Well, then there's probably only so much you can spend, and he's decided that, you know, bolstering the midfield is a massive thing, and I think it was a massive thing for Everton. If Godfrey's a centre half, is he?
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
So there you go. He's trying to do something at centre half, and he's going to see how the chips fall with regards to goalkeeper. But he probably will look at it in a year's time when more money becomes available. Looking at this one, lads, quickly. You know, Everton are scoring for fun. Calvert-Lewin is absolutely flying. James Rodriguez is on form. Richarlison looks to be good. The lads in midfield look to be good. They're not conceding many. Like, they concede 2 to West Brom and 1 away at Palace. But, you know, they've conceded 3 goals in 3 games, but they've scored 8. You know what I mean? So they're absolutely flying. The Cup, of course, they had a 4-1 win against West Ham the other night as well. So there's goals raining in. What's our predictions on this one? Joe, I'll come to you first.
I think it'll be quite tight, but I do fancy him to win. I think Brighton might score 2-1 Everton.
Okay, and Chris, for you?
Yeah, I'll probably go just 2-1. I do think at some point, the way Brighton are playing, at some point, a result of the big game is going to go for them.
Okay.
Whether it's this game, I'm not sure, but you know, they should have got it in the United game, but Mopé thought he was a keeper for some reason, which is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't know why footballers think punching the ball when there's cameras in VR is going to get away with it. So I think it'll be 2-1.
Okay. Let me see. There's a couple of bits. There's a couple of bits coming in here. It's still coming in about Sadio Mane and COVID-19. He has tested positive. It's been confirmed by the club. People are asking, did he get it from Thiago and stuff like that. Barry Devaney says Mane be okay for the Everton game, providing he tests negative after 10 days. Exactly. And Kevin Sullivan hits the nail on the head. Lads, if someone gets the bug, they get it. There's no point overthinking it. Shit happens. It's going to hit every club. It is.
Yeah.
And, it's probably hit other clubs and we just don't read about it because we're obsessed with Liverpool, and it's passed us by. And it has happened to clubs, didn't Burnley have 4 or 5 at the one time during the summer? So it can... Exactly. Exactly. So it's going to happen to everyone and we'll have to wait and see. Moving on, Chelsea. My favourite, Joe's oil light up here now when I mention Chelsea, because he's Frank Lampard's biggest fan. But Chelsea got knocked out of the League Cup by Spurs the other night. I could hear Joe's roars of approval all the way from Yorkshire. But they have Palace at the weekend. Now, of course, Palace went away to Old Trafford and won. They beaten Southampton at home. Of course, they did lose to Everton in a tight game. Joe, if Chelsea were to lose this one, I've seen Chelsea fans already getting their knickers in a little bit of a twist over Lampard already.
Isn't it funny?
How big is the pressure if they lose this one?
Yeah, massive. I was looking at the games as well. Like, obviously, the Palace, Burnley, Southampton, Man United over the next 4. And I'm like, if you didn't get at least 9 points, or even 10, is Abramovich looking at it and think, what's going on here? If they lose, and then, I don't know, look, he spent a lot of money. Yes, everyone comes back with it, takes time to gel, etc. But, my thoughts on Frank, I just don't think he's got it in him. I thought they were... I was gutted that they managed to come back against West Brom, if I'm being totally honest. But like you say, it's so funny on the old socials after they perform, and the Lampard out brigade starts. I even seen it. I don't know if people are taking the piss, but I've seen someone burning a Chelsea scarf, and that was on Twitter doing the rounds. I was like, I'm here for it. Yeah, man, listen, pressure's on. He's got to start. He should be brushing this side aside. I know Palace were good, Man United, but ultimately he's spent over 200 million. They've now got a goalkeeper in who looked all right. I thought he looked all right actually in that Tottenham game, but ultimately they got knocked out. They're not going to win the Champions League. They're not going to win the Premier League. So what's his only hope for silverware now? FA Cup, and if he's spending that sort of money, surely Roman's going to want some return on it. He
absolutely is going to want return on it. If you like me, fucking buying a new car and not expect them to have wheels. It doesn't. You want a return on an investment. That's why these people have loads of money, because they get returns on investments all the time, or they have a big field that just oil pops out.
But this is the thing, Greg, as well. Like Chelsea fans are all of a sudden. I've seen people go, "Nah, he'd be given time. It's Lampard, etc." Let's not forget, he's had top managers. We were just speaking about Ancelotti, etc., that have won trophies, and he's still binned them off.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Well, if you look at the managers he sacked Mourinho twice. He's Scolari, Ancelotti,
after a double. Ancelotti after a double.
Yeah, after. In my opinion, is still the best Chelsea side you've seen in the Premier League. In 2009-10, I think. Then you have Conte. You have was Villas-Boas there?
Yeah,
Avram Grant.
And then Di Matteo, the only man to win in the Champions League. The one thing he always wanted.
Yeah.
Did he get 2 months? And then they brought in Benitez, which was the funniest one. Benitez, who everyone hated.
Yeah. So
who still won a European trophy.
Yeah. So the talk of Lampard getting time, I think, is a mad one. The biggest problem for me for Frank Lampard is the narrative they painted last season about youth and about this, that, and the other. That we're going to do this and we're going to do that. We should have just turned around and said, I'm working with what I have, and when we're able to sign players, we will do our best to do so. And they didn't. They rode this media train about youth, and now it's coming back. Not only are they performing poorly, and they look a bit disjointed, but they're having that thrown at them as well. So it's a bit of a mad one.
I read a stat the other day. I think he's kept one clean sheet away from home in 21 games. That's not good enough for Chelsea. That's just not good enough. Do you know what I mean? And that, again, comes down to the manager.
Yeah,
for me.
Of course they did. They sacked Ranieri too, says Rajiv. And Morbid Angel says Mourinho by 2, Ancelotti, Scolari, Villas, Bowles, Di Matteo and Conte. So he's not afraid to get rid of people no matter who they are. For Palace, you know, they're going to look to try to get back on the horse. I think Palace might be looking at this as a good game and a good time to play Chelsea. You know, all right, they win away at Brighton. Liverpool skilled them. They get away with murder at West Brom. They lose in the League Cup, and the pressure is really on. I'd love to see Palace go ahead in this, just to see what happens and see what the reaction is. Chris, do you hold out any hope for Palace of the weekend?
Yeah, because they've got the things that Chelsea can't cope with. They've got pace up front. They've got guys who'll run at them. And it looks like, which I never thought I'd say, Roy Hodgson, he's really bought himself a gem in that. Is it Eze?
Eze.
From QPR?
He just looks a real talent. The only worry you have for Palace is they've only got one fit centre-back, which is Saka, which is always as Liverpool fans, we know he's a bit of a cult hero, but, you know, he has those moments in him. So they are playing one of the better centre midfielders at centre back, which is a bit of a risk. But no, I fancy Palace to get something.
Oh, right.
I hope you're right.
So Joe definitely hopes you're right. I think he's hoping for a Palace draw more than he is a Leeds win at the weekend, but we'll find out later. Because he just loves just hopping on Frank Lampard's back and staying there for days on end.
It's true.
Okay, you think Palace gets something? So go on, give us your prediction.
2-2.
2-2. I like that prediction. I actually do like that. Joe, what are you having on this one? All your Frank Lampard biases aside now.
No. Listen, I think they will score Palace, but I just think he's got to start getting a tune at some point. I mean, in the odd games, 2-3-1. I'll go 3-1 Chelsea in this one.
Okay. I'm gonna go for 2-1 Palace.
Ooh,
I think, you know, Grizz made a point the other day that, you know, if Chelsea had fans in the ground, they wouldn't be allowing the sort of football that Lampard is playing at the moment. They would be demanding more, and Grizz felt it was a good thing for Lampard. I don't think so. I agree with him on that point, but I think now is when he probably would like some fans in the ground to get behind the players and cause a bit of a cauldron of noise, if you want, you know, against a lesser side that fancy themselves a bit and might, you know, a couple of injuries are centre half, as Chris says. But I think Palace going away, they have nothing to fear. And like, I agree with you, Chris. They are a bit short at the back, Palace, but I think in the likes of Zaha and this Eze lad, who you're right, I've seen clips and he looks very, very good. Of course, Andros Townsend seems to do it away from home against big sides, and you've got AU there as well, and they've decent midfielders, and they're very good on set pieces and stuff. And I think it's the sort of stuff Chelsea don't like. So I'm going to go. Come on.
I think Zaha looks. He doesn't look distracted this year. I think the problem last year with Zaha, there was a lot of the is he going Arsenal, is he going Everton, and he looked like he wanted out. He seems a lot more content this year, you know, because he's clearly not going to go this summer unless something mad happens in the last couple of days. So I think that
and
helps
him captain as well, I think.
Yeah, he seems quite settled. He seems quite content where he is now. So, which I think is only a good thing for Palace, because if you've got a happy Zaha, then I think that again gives Palace a different dimension, because when he's on his game, you know, he's a handful. He's a pain to mark, and we've seen that.
Yeah, I just like the idea of Zaha going up against the likes of whether it's a Christensen or a Thiago Silva or Alonso, or whoever they kind of have at the back. And if you add in as a AU Townsend, they've plenty there, plenty of pace. They're very direct. I think they might get something. So we've got one Chelsea win, a draw, and a Palace win. So somehow this podcast is going to get that right. Super Tiger says Palace are the kings of the counter-attack. Zaha and Eze will have a field day. Let me see. Megan says Zaha versus Silva, only one winner. 2-1 to Palace, she's gone with as well. So there you go. I'm not completely mental, or else me and Megan are just completely mental together. Interesting, and I do you know what? Just for the reaction and what will go on, because somebody else mentioned there, Lampard gets away with it because his mates were all the pundits. He's literally related to some of them. I'd love to see what way they would turn if something happened there. So we'll have to wait and see. Manchester United against Tottenham. I think that's Sunday. It is Sunday, 4:30. It's sorry, just quickly, and it's a question that come up. Gav, can you explain why Christensen played the other day, considering he got sent off against us? He missed the League Cup tie against Barnsley. They don't all count in the same competition. It's a domestic ban, so he missed the game against Barnsley and could play at the weekend. That did cross my mind when he was playing last weekend against West Brom. So that's cleared that up. Manchester United, Spurs, Mourinho again, back to Old Trafford. Little bit of a pep in his step, Joe. Made a couple of signings, gets through against Chelsea in the League Cup. He's had a few good wins in the league. He gets robbed against Newcastle, let's be honest. Yeah. But going there, would he be going there thinking they're here for the taking? Because United look a bit disjointed for me.
Yeah. Listen, you're right. He looks even just the images of him going down the tunnel for Dyer and that. He's just got that little bit of swag back, hasn't he? I think, yeah. And they look decent, Tottenham. The only thing, and I was just speaking with someone as well prior to this, with Mourinho going back there, are them Man United, not so much how Ollie sets them up or how he goes about it tactically, because I just think he's inept. But I think, are they seeing the return of Mourinho and the players on the pitch wanting to give that extra bit more just because it's Mourinho, if that makes sense, Yeah. On paper, attacking... Listen, it's hard for me to say, but Man United have so much, young, exciting talent as well. And it's just defensively, they're absolutely gash. I still can't get my head around why everyone's still hanging on this Sancho deal, because regardless of if it gets done or not, it's still not going to solve anything for me. But yeah, listen, I'm hopeful. I don't mind Mourinho, and it's nice to see him back at his best. Tottenham's business after that initial result at Everton, they've started to get moving. I think they've just brought the striker in Vinicius on loan as well.
From Fifa.
Yeah. Obviously Reguilon, Bale still to see. I'm excited by Tottenham. I'm excited, and hopefully they turn the team across the Pennines over at the weekend.
Yeah. You're right what you're saying. They have got a lot of talent up front, United, and I don't know what the latest is on Sancho. I think I've seen people saying that it's not happening now, and I'd be surprised if it does. It's been imminent for 10 weeks. The meaning of imminent will change in the Collins dictionary come the 6th of October, but they've played this absolutely awfully with regards to Jadon Sancho, and the thing is, regardless of the situation, £108 million for Jadon Sancho is an absolute and utter deal. Go and pay it. Just come out and pay it. And you see, the fan base are annoyed there because they go, we're United, we're this, we're that, we can pay it, we're the richest. And now they're flouncing around over 10 million quid or whatever it might be. But they've known what's going on in this deal for very early on. It's £108 million, 120 million euros, and they're still flapping around going, we'll give you 80 and 20, and Dortmund are going, are you deaf?
But they gave up but they gave up the bargaining tool as soon as football came back, because he had Woodward and Solskjaer both said, well, we could take advantage of the market because we could do things that other clubs can't.
Yes.
Because Man United. So then every club went, oh, can you? Okay, I want 50 million up front. Yeah. Or I want 108 million up front. Oh yeah, it's COVID. Well, you could do things that other clubs can't. You've told us you'll take advantage of the market. Now, what he said isn't wrong. Just don't say it out loud.
There's exactly.
You don't say out loud. Because everyone goes, well, you've got the money then. Oh, we haven't. Well, you said you have, so pay me my money, or he can sit here for another year, and then next summer, if it's all back to normal, I'll have 5 clubs after him, so I'm okay.
And then of course the Ousmane Dembele thing is, then they were going around saying, well, Ousmane Dembele turned down Liverpool, but when United come knocking, it's a different story. And Ousmane Dembele is still at Barcelona, lads. Morbid says, lose for United. They look desperate. If they cave in and pay up after trying to lower the price, they will look weak if they revert to Ousmane Dembele. That is a brilliant point. If they revert to anybody else in that position, they've made fucking bollocks of it anyway, let's be honest. But it'll look even worse. But on the game itself, Spurs, Chris, Reggie on. You've got Højbjerg. I believe Son is out for quite a while. It's quite a bad injury he got, which is a huge loss for them. But it might give Lucas Moura a chance to shine, and he usually does when he's called upon. With this one again, Chris, is this one where you think it could be high scoring, or does Mourinho go to try shut this game down?
I think he's going to have to try and shut it down. But if United don't win this game, United fans should really be asking questions of Solskjaer. Because Tottenham have played in the League Cup, didn't they, was it Tuesday night?
Yeah.
Tuesday night, they played in the League Cup. They played in Europe Thursday night against Maccabi Haifa away. And
home to Maccabi Haifa.
Maccabi Haifa, sorry. And now they've got United on Sunday. They've had no rest. I mean, I know it's a truncated season, and these sort of things are happen, but that's crackers for Tottenham. Was it like four games in less than 10 days? Is that, and it's not the biggest of squads. So if you're United, you've got to be Ollie's got to be getting them, going at them hard and making Tottenham work, because in the last half an hour you would expect Tottenham's legs to fall. Now if you don't, you would be looking at, you've got to then, you forget, as much as you can kick off about Woodward, as much as you can kick off about the owners, you've then got to look at the manager you've got going. You can't get a result against a side that's played that many games and got such a small squad, and one of the best potent attackers they've got is out injured.
A lot of people in the chat saying, leave Ollie at the wheel, leave him alone. He's great. You can guess who these people support when they're saying that. Joe, for you, and it's another kind of thing that I've noticed, that the easy target seems to be the owners here at United, and Solskjaer's going under the radar a little bit. Now, having said that, they're a week behind. They've only played 2 league games. They get beaten against Palace, and they win, fortunately, at Brighton. Do you have to kind of give this a half dozen games before you start seeing a trend again, and then Solskjaer runs out of brownie points, or is it just a case of, no, he's just not fucking good enough and nothing's going to master?
I think it was quite funny. Listen, they got Champions League football, and that was more a case of the rest of the teams bottling it, and obviously the introduction of Bruno Fernandes and everyone going. I mean, he had an amazing impact, but I think they got themselves a little bit carried away. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is definitely not the man. I look at it on the flip side as well. Yes, Tottenham have played a lot of games, but like you say, Man United haven't played enough, and Tottenham could be more ready and fit and raring to go. I know they've had a couple of games, but do you know what I mean? More up to speed. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, listen, they should not have won against Brighton. I think I was doing something earlier and someone said that the posts, basically the goal post, crossbar, whatever, has made more saves this season than David De Gea has, and that's an actual genuine stat. That's
amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And I shouldn't have won that game, and I think that I don't think they'll win on the weekend. I'm hopeful anyway. He's just not good enough, is he? He's just not good enough. He's not, man. Regardless of what he's done, for me, he's just not good enough.
The problem United got though is, I agree. I don't think the manager's good enough. The counter argument for United fans that I've heard, and I can understand it, is, well, if we sack him and they bring in like a brilliant manager, they've still got a problem with the ownership, which is they underinvest until they don't get top 4, and then they throw a load of money at it, and then once they've got a load of money, once they're in top 4, they cut it back again.
Yeah, but
it's who you cut out first.
Yeah, but that's not that's an argument of convenience.
Yeah,
right. Because
it helps.
Well, let me put it to you this way, right? Add up what Solskjaer has spent. I would presume it's a considerable amount of money, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Harry Maguire was 85 million. Bruno Fernandes was about 55-ish, is it? In around that. Yeah, 55.
Yeah.
Who else has he signed? Who else is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signed for United?
Wan-Bissaka for 50.
Donny van der Beek. Yeah, Wan-Bissaka.
These are all, but like I said, these are all players that have now got them into the top 4.
Yeah.
By default or not, but they got in. It's Van der Beek this summer, but that isn't the player they've been pushing.
But United haven't underinvested. They've just bought badly. They've overinvested for the players that they actually have.
Yeah, I mean, if they get a new manager, they'll do better. But I still think there are bigger problems behind the scenes, which is always going to hold them back.
Sorry, Dan James as well.
Yeah, Dan James, who might be on his way to us, and then he'll get a proper coach, and he'll go on to be the player that he should have been in the first place.
But the thing about Dan James was Dan James turned up at Manchester United from Swansea after turning down a move to Leeds, I believe, at very, very last minute. And
no, it was Swansea pulled out last minute. He was there. Deal should have been done. Yeah,
Swansea pulled out and got more money off United probably. But Dan James turned up, and if you remember rightly, this is a very, very young kid, and literally United were put on his shoulders from a very early stage. And now people have the cheek to give out because Dan James isn't the world beater they all just made him out to be last summer when he wasn't. He clearly wasn't. He's a young fucking player. You know what I mean? But United haven't underinvested. They've just done it poorly, and they've done it poorly since Alex Ferguson left. Let's be perfect.
Poch makes them better instantly, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing, though. Who gets Poch? Because I would say it was City, United, and Chelsea. You could probably go to any of them three. So there is a bit of a race of who gets sacked first to get him. Because I think Pochettino's sitting there going, I will literally have got my pick of clubs, and he can probably ask for what he wants. And whichever club he goes to Chelsea, he makes them better. He goes to United, he makes them better. If he goes to City, he just gives them a different way, but he certainly doesn't make them weaker. So whichever club Pochettino ends up at, it instantly makes them stronger and makes them a different threat. And you go, like if Pochettino rocked up to United, we all sit up and go, he'll get a tune out of players that you don't expect. Because he did at Tottenham, that Tottenham side he had was very good, but should never have got anywhere near a Champions League final, and he did. So you can't. I'm intrigued to see where he goes.
Yeah, well, you see, the thing is, like, he's the sort of manager that would under promise and overachieve, and I think that would suit United down to the ground if the owners are being like that. But I still think they've spent a hell of a lot of money. Indiana Peplo is a United fan. He says that he enjoys the show whenever he tunes in. Thanks for tuning in. We like talking about all clubs, I'm being honest, and we try not to be too, I don't know, tribal. Too much tribalism, I suppose. Yeah, just have a chat about what you see, and don't take it too seriously. Right, predictions for this one. Joe, go first.
Let's go 1-0 Spurs.
Oh, I'll go second. I'll have 3-1 to United, please. And Chris?
I've got 2-1 United.
Okay, 2-1 to United. Graham Hodges is a Sheffield United fan. He says, we are Blades, we are Blades. And he should have followed that up with We Are Blades. We Are Blades. Graham, I'd be very interested to know what you think of the signing of Raheem Brewster today for Sheffield United. And they're on a poor run of form. They were excellent last season. On a poor run of form. Is it just a blip, or is it something to be worried about? Let us know, Graham, in the chat. Couple of quick predictions, lads, for games that we're not going to cover in massive detail, okay? And Joe, I'll give you these first. Southampton versus West Brom.
2-1 Southampton.
Okay. Wolves versus Fulham.
3-0 Wolves.
Okay. And Newcastle v Burnley.
1-1.
1-1. And the same for you. I'll go in reverse order there, Chris. Newcastle v Burnley.
2-1 Newcastle.
Okay. And Wolves Fulham.
3-0 Wolves.
Okay. And Southampton West Brom.
2-0 Southampton.
Okay. I want to quickly look at Leicester. And they've started off really well. 3 wins from 3 as well. Joint top with Liverpool at the moment, and Everton, of course. And just a quick question, lads. And I'm only going to give you one question on this. Does this last, Joe? Does this last?
No, I don't think so, no. And I think, do you know what as well? That the teams in and around them are stronger as well this season for me. The likes of Everton, etc. I think there's going to be a real shake-up up there. I even look at like Brighton and stuff and ourselves. I'm not kidding you. I think, they're not going to be top 4, you know what I mean? They'll be between, I don't know, 8th and 10th maybe. I don't know. I don't think it'll last, mate. No, is my answer to your question.
Kieran B says no, a few injuries and Leicester are goosed. Yeah, I think it's one of those. Aidan Andrews says Brendan's going to bottle it again. He fucking better, because if he goes and wins the league this year, I'm gonna look like a right prick, and I don't want that to happen, because I've absolutely. Actually, you know what? It wouldn't be the first time. It won't be the last. And there's more people have said it to me that I am that than there is in this chat, and that's 368 as it stands. So. But the one thing I would say is I'll always stand by what I said last season. It was absolutely horrific from Leicester. They've had a good start, but I think you're right. I think if a couple of injuries go against them, they're in trouble. Let me see. I did ask Graham Hodges for his opinion. He said Sheffield United don't have a Premier League striker. You do now, brother. I think you do now. I think you have one that lives on instinct, and Sheffield United, for me, make enough chances. And one thing about Raheem Brewster is he's
a poacher.
He is a poacher, and the one thing you'll find when listening to Klopp about him, he wants him to get more involved in games, just be why Liverpool play. I think your manager will be more than happy for him to be involved between those posts and in between the lines of them boxes, because if you give him a chance more times than not, he buries them. So I think he'd be a very, very good signing for you, Graham. Chris, Leicester, West Ham. One, are you worried about West Ham? And two, same question as I gave to Joe. Do you think this lasts with Leicester?
I'm not worried. No, Leicester, it won't last now. Because I don't think the squad's deep enough, and the manager has still yet to prove in England when the pressure's on, what can he do? And the big thing, you, me, Gav, have both experienced it, he's horrific in Europe. And I think that... Yeah. Is there in Europa League? Haven't they got Europa League, Leicester? Or did they miss out?
No, they got it.
Yeah, so that squad, 3 games a week, I think it's going to start to tell. And he always tries to be too clever. He always tries to be too clever in Europe. Always catches him out.
Yeah, I've seen him. I've seen him at Liverpool in Europe. Awful. I've seen him at Celtic in Europe, and for the vast majority, awful. So I'm very interested to see what he does here. You know, he has built a little bit up on the squad of last season, but I still think him trying to manage league and, you know, FA Cup when it comes around, Europa League, he managed to get out of groups. It's too much for Leicester. I really do believe it's too much for Leicester. Quick predictions on this one. Chris, go first on this one.
I'm going to go 2-2 because this is the sort of game they know we drop points in.
Okay. Joe, Leicester, West Ham?
3-1 Leicester.
Okay. I'm going to go with... Yeah, I'm going to go somewhere. I think 3-0 Leicester. Don't think West Ham do anything to them. Owen Burke feels that Pochettino's waiting for Tommy Tuchel to be sacked. Of course, I want Tommy Tuchel to be handed some sort of curry tray and sent on his way. But I don't think it'll happen like that. But I think Pep might get in there before Pochettino, to be honest with you. Let me see. Sulav says 3-1 to Leicester. Rajiv has 4-1 to Leicester. So a lot of people backing Leicester for the weekend. Graham Hodges is back. He says he's better than McBurney. McGoldrick should have kept Leon Clark and Brewster up front. You can play whatever way you want. All you have to do is put the ball in the box and get it to Brewster, and you have a high chance of scoring, because Sheffield United do make chances. I think they've missed a lot as well. McGoldrick didn't. Did he score 1 goal last season in the league? So for me, make chances, and Brewster will take. If you give him 10 chances, he'll score 5 or 6, and that's much higher rate than Sheffield United are at the minute. And it could be the difference between him getting out of this slump and just pushing up the table, because I like them. So I hope it actually works out. Edward Denham has 1-1 between Leicester and West Ham. Stephen O'Connor has 2-1 to Leicester. So there's loads coming in there. Let me see. Wait, we're down to it. Let's get down to it. Arsenal, Sheffield United. Of course, Arsenal were the best thing since sliced bread until Monday night when they were handballed around Anfield by Liverpool. And of course, we're just talking to one of the Sheffield United fans there. Graham, we're commenting on the chat, and Sheffield United need something here. I have put Aubameyang in my side in my fantasy football league for this week because I think he's going to run amok. But Chris, for you, is this one where Arsenal, is it a perfect game for Arsenal to get back on the horse?
Yeah. This is what Arsenal normally do. Arsenal at home against a side outside the top 6. It's normally pretty much a home banker most of the time. I don't see that changing. You know, it's away from home and against the top 6 where, you know, that's always been Arsenal's Achilles heel. So I think Arsenal will win quite comfortably.
Joe, you'd expect Arsenal to win this quite comfortably. if the Sheffield United of last season turn up that are stubborn, very well marshalled in defence, very tight knit in their system, and when they get a chance to attack, they can be good. They do miss chances, but you seen last season they stayed in games an awful lot and managed to put teams away later on when they got one or two chances. They done well. But for you, is this one where Arsenal turn and go, right, got beaten by Liverpool, fair enough. They'd won their first 2 games, hadn't they? Is this one where Arsenal just go 3 more points and we move on? Because Arsenal are very, very good at being flat track bullies, to be honest.
I think Sheffield United are great defensively. They are really, really good defensively. It's putting it in the back of the net. I don't think it'll be as easy as you guys think, if I'm honest. I do think Arsenal will win the game. I don't know if Raheem Brewster could play on the weekend. I'm not too sure. Listen, I seen him at Swansea in the Championship.
What day is it? What day is the game on?
He has to be signed by midday today.
I would have thought he is signed by midday today.
You'd have thought so. The big thing for Sheffield United is that Jack O'Connell's out for.
Yeah.
It sounds like quite a long time, and I think
he is. Yeah,
he's there up their back three. I think post lockdown he was out for a while. I think that's where Sheffield struggled defensively. I think he's like their main leader.
I think Egan's back in after Egan was suspended for the game against Leeds. They had opportunities against us, but Meslier had a man of the match performance. I do think they are good defensively. I do think they'll get out of this rut. It probably won't be this weekend because I do really rate Arsenal. I just don't see it being as wide as maybe you guys think. I see it being a little bit tighter. Like you say, they'll stay in the game, Sheffield United, if they'll stay in the game. And if Raheem Brewster can play, then like you guys have said, I've seen it in the Championship with Swansea. He knows where the goal is. Do you know what I mean? He's a great signing for them, and that's what they're lacking, isn't it? His goals.
Yeah, Arjit Wiseman says they said Brewster won't be playing, so he mightn't have been registered in time. Usually, when you get an announcement on a Friday evening, he's being registered since first thing this morning. They're just doing all the media stuff. Let me see. Simon Tilbury has 3-0 to Arsenal. Let me see. Super Tiger says, can we all agree the Arteta love-in is misplaced? As I saw tweeted, they are very much deep in this is fine mem territory. We'll have to wait and see. A couple of bad results for Arsenal and then memes might start appearing, all right. But he's going in the right direction. I continue to say it. I wouldn't make too much of their defeat to Liverpool on Monday. They were playing the best team in the world. And that's I think we are the best team in the world. And Liverpool showed them the level that Liverpool are at, and Arsenal could see how many levels they have to go up to get there. And Arteta was very honest after the game in how he spoke about you can press Liverpool and then Van Dijk hits 60-yard diagonals onto people's chests and they're out, they're past you, and all of a sudden they're playing 4-on-4. And when you have Firmino and you have Mane and you have Salah and you have other players backing them up, it's a terrifying forward to be running at you. But Arsenal are going the right direction. They need to keep their feet on the ground, and more so the fans, I think, because their fans have an awful habit of being really low and they want the Emirates torn down and fall the club, or they win on penalties in the League Cup or Anfield, and they're claiming victory in fucking Britain's Got Talent and everything come the weekend. So they need to be quite level-headed in what they do, and if they do, because Arteta seems to be, they will get to where they want to go eventually. So we'll have to wait and see. Predictions on this one, Joe. You think it's going to be tight? What are you going for?
Yeah, I'm going to go 1-0. 1-0 Arsenal. Yeah, Aubameyang.
Okay. Chris, for you?
3-1.
Okay. I'm going to go 2-0 Arsenal. I think Aubameyang is a great bit. Second last game we're going to get to. Going to leave Leeds to last, if that's all right, Joe. No problem. Villa versus Liverpool. Villa have 2 wins from 2. Of course, they couldn't play in the opening weekend. I think they were due to be at home to Manchester United, I think, in the opening weekend. But they've got 2 from 2. Now, in fairness, they've beaten Fulham, who it doesn't count. And their other win was... I'm trying to think of their other win was against... Sheffield United, who had a man sent off, but that doesn't make a difference. Aston Villa won the game. So they've beaten an out-of-form Sheffield United, and they've beaten a team that should have just stayed in the Championship and called it quits the way things are going this season. Chris, I'm going to come to you first. Liverpool go there. Of course, no Thiago. He's isolating. Mane is now sitting beside him, isolating. Everyone else looks grand. Everyone else looks grand. Henderson he's being assessed, but I don't think it'll happen. So, but it's still, Jota has to come in there as well. So it's absolutely fine. But what are you looking for this weekend, Chris? Because it was a very tough game there last season. In around this time as well, wasn't it? It might have been a little bit later in the season. But you know what I mean by in the calendar year, it was this time, but it was about 9 games in. What are you looking for this weekend?
Pretty much a continuation of what we saw against Arsenal. Hopefully a bit more solidity away from home, because I don't really want to wait to the 93rd minute to win it, because I can't be coping with them.
Can't be dealing with that, yeah.
No. I haven't seen it for a little while. I'd quite like just like a routine win. No scares, no head. The boring wins. We haven't won them for a while. And Megan's just pretty much nicked my bet. Thanks for that. So, no, I think we should win. I think Villa have improved. I think they've signed players in areas they were weak. They've got Ollie Watkins in, who's, from what I saw in the Championship, was scoring goals for fun. Especially losing, I can't remember the chap there up front with his knee injury. Goalkeeper a bit better. They lost Heaton and Wesley. That's his name.
Wesley, that's him. I knew he only had one name.
Yeah, they lost both into ACLs pretty much in the same game, which was, they did well to stay up to because I thought that had kibosh the season a little bit. So I still think we'll get a win, but I think it will be a tight one.
There's loads coming in here. 4-1 the Redmen, says Flash Gordon. 2-2 says Edward. Villa to score first. Barry has 2-1 Redmen. Again, Trent and Salah to score. Liverpool win, says Raheem. Salah and Firmino to score. Of course, Barkley has signed for Aston Villa this week, and be just like him, wouldn't it, to plead and something to come in for his knee or something, and all the Blues would be delighted. But Joe, for you, Villa were quite fortunate to stay in the league last season. Their transfer business was 150 odd million plus, and they were awful, to be perfectly honest with you. They've made a bit of a splash again this summer. They've got 2 from 2, but a bit like, you could possibly say, a bit like Everton, they've played teams that aren't the best. You'd have to wait and see when they come up against us on Sunday what they're actually like. What are you expecting from this one?
A routine Liverpool win. Liverpool have looked unreal, aren't they? I mean, I seen Jota like he'd been at Liverpool for ages, man. Do you know what I mean? It was none of that, like, this is a new player. I couldn't quite believe it, if I'm being totally honest, how just quick he just fitted in there. Liverpool are just too good. It's a little bit, I know it's not for you guys, but I was expecting City to have a good goal, but I've just looked at Liverpool. It's going to be a runaway again. Do you know what I mean? So I think, look, we've shown the way to have a go a little bit at Liverpool, and no one else wants to seem to try and employ them tactics. I think you'll have too much for Villa. Okay.
Liverpool side, me and Chris will try to guess it. Tell me if you disagree with this, Chris. Alisson in goal, Trent,
no.
Gomez, Van Dijk, Robertson, Fabinho, Wijnaldum, Keita, of course not. Salah, Firmino, Jota.
Yeah, that's what I had.
Happy with that? Yeah, okay.
Happy with that.
Villa, of course, has barely stayed up due to goal line technology not working. Somebody tried to spell Lewis Scousers, I think, earlier, and just wrote in Lewis Scours. So there might be a couple of keys on your keyboard broken there, but Hal, you might want to bring it to PC World or something like that, and they might, I don't know, give it a bash or something and see if it works again. But best of luck with it. Predictions. Joe, go first.
3-0.
3-0, okay. I'm going to have 2-1 to Liverpool, a repeat of last season. Chris?
Not an exact repeat.
No, not an exact repeat, no. But
you get dogs abuse if we get an exact repeat of that.
I could see Liverpool scoring 4, Villa equalise, and we go and score another. Something like that.
Mm-hmm. I've got 2-0. I think Firmino breaks his duck and Jota scores again.
Oh, okay. Flash Gordon says spot on. I don't know what that's about, but Stephen O'Connor says spot on, Gav. Is that about the score or just bringing a keyboard to PC World? Either way, they both should work for you. Ruben says 3-0. Salah to get 3. Oh, nice. I like that. Right. How do Villa score against us as Super Tiger? I could do the obvious thing and be a prick, but I won't.
Set pieces. That's what they got us with. A wide set piece, what they got us with last time.
I would like to see Liverpool go through this game again with no mistakes. No mistakes, because the goal we conceded against Arsenal was a bad mistake. I just want to see us be absolutely professional, no mistakes, and see what happens. Oh, Flash Gordon says the lineup. Oh, you're happy with that? Good man. I let Jurgen know that that's what we all feel is the way to go, and see what happens. So Joe has a routine win. I have a 2-1. What have you got, Chris?
2-0.
2-0 as well. Okay, I have 2-1, of course. Now the big one of the weekend, Joe. Is that right?
Yeah, the main one.
The one I'm looking forward to most of all, apart from Liverpool, and it's Leeds United against Man City. And Man City, of course, were humbled at home to Leicester last weekend in a 5-2 win, which Rodri declared as lucky. Leicester shouldn't have had all them goals. Well, mate, if you start bringing fellas down 3 and 4, 5 times in the box, it's not luck anymore. It's just ridiculousness what Man City were at last week. Of course, they have signed Ruben Diaz for £64 million. I don't know if he gets into the squad for this weekend. I presume he does. This news was out on Tuesday or Wednesday. Joe, what do Leeds need to do here at the weekend? Because City be a wounded animal, there's no doubt about that. And last season when City had something put up to them, they hadn't got the answers. And they didn't win 5 league games in a row all last season, I don't think. Maybe did after the COVID comeback, but everything was over by then. What do Leeds need to do here? What do you expect Leeds to do here, Joe?
Listen, you spoke about Rodri's interview. I thought it was absolutely shocking and quite naive. Do you know what I mean? You lost the game, mate. Regardless of how anyone's played, you lost the game. But he'll get his wish in this game because Leeds United will fight fire with fire. You know, they won't change. Bielsa said so. We'll have a go at City. It's going to be interesting to see who has the majority of the ball. It's going to be interesting to see how defensively who comes out on top from a press perspective. You know, for me, it'll be interesting to see how when that ball's nicked and when they've pressed, how quick each side can get into the defensive shape. Because like City push men forward, you know, we'll do like what we tried to do. Well, what we did with Trent, you know, the ball will go into Calvin, the centre backs. They'll try ping it out wide to isolate a Walker, to isolate a Mendy, and get balls into the box. You know, cutbacks for Paddy and Click, etc. I think, but again, as we see, you know, with you guys and Fulham, when our press gets broke and the man marking system gets passed, you do get a free running, and when you've got the likes of KDB, Mahrez, Sterling running at your goal, they don't need, you know, any second chances. So for me, there's going to be goals for both sides, a bit like the game against Liverpool at Anfield. But it could. I'm nervous for this one more so than I was against you guys. I think against you guys, if we'd have played you at this time, maybe I'd have felt the same. It was just because I was back after 16 years, absolutely buzzing. You know, nothing could have brought me down. But like you say, City, bit of a wounded animal. We'll have to wait and see. But we've got them at the right time. I'm a little bit gutted. Laporte's back in. Played midweek, get a clean sheet, no shocks there. But the fact they've got no Aguero, no Jesus, that's better for us. Do you know what I mean? Be interesting to see, mate. But I think we can get at Walker and Mendy. We've seen that against Leicester, you know. We've seen that. So I think we can get at them.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, you know, like no Jesus, no Aguero. I'm interested to see what way Man City go. You know, do they try be cute and put a Sterling in there? Just stick Sterling in as a false 9 and let him roam, and look for the likes of whether it's Ferran Torres plays or Mahrez plays or whoever. Look for them to be breaking in from wide positions, you know, into the box and getting them a little bit more central than they usually would. Of course, Kevin De Bruyne could go and do that role if he wanted. They could literally play Kevin De Bruyne there and just stick Sterling and Mahrez on each side and go that way. I think you're right though. I think Mendy can be got at all day long, and I mean all day long. I would probably put not so much our paciest player against him, but somebody that is really an intelligent runner, because if you make intelligent runs against Mendy, you will get chances. You will get in. You know, we seen it at Leicester last week, like, and not enough is made of the moves that Harvey Barnes was making. You know, he was coming inside him and then making a dart. He changed it up a lot last weekend, and Mendy just didn't know what was going on. He must have been on Instagram or something. I don't know what he was doing. But Walker, for me, just tries to be Pep on the pitch and let's get forward and look great. And when it comes to being organised defensively, I think he's way too far away from his centre backs, way too far away from them. So there's chances to run in there. City are a threat, Joe. There's no doubt about it. That they have some fantastic players, and Kevin De Bruyne could turn around on his own at the weekend and you could lose 4-0. That's just how good that fella is. Raheem Sterling is guaranteed to have a chance of a tap in at the back post. That's what he does. And Marius can pick one out into the top bin whenever he feels like it. So I think what I'd be looking for from Leeds is nearly play, and it sounds an obvious thing to say, but play on the hesitancy in Manchester City. And if that means sticking balls in behind the fullback, just putting them in there and making them play, so be it. I think it's going to be a cracking game, because I think you're right. I think Leeds will come out and go, listen, what have we got to lose? You know, they're one of the best teams in Europe. We have a go. We lose 3-1. People aren't going to give out about it. So I think it's going to be an absolute cracking game, but Pep's head will fall off. You know, it'll fall off if Leeds go 1 or 2-0 up. He really will. Chris, what are you having for this one?
2-2.
Are you having 2-2? Oh, I like it.
The key for Leeds, though, is, it's probably similar to the Leicester game, is it wouldn't surprise me if City score early, because City do score early. That's kind of their thing. The nervousness for City is, and we saw it last year, is the longer it stays 1-0, the more they struggle. They need to get to a 2-0 lead quite quickly, and then they're quite settled. The big thing I'm still thinking for City is it's not the back four. It's the two in front of them. Fernandinho is a fantastic player, and we all know he is. Rodri, for me, off the ball, he switches off, and that's why he can say they're lucky. But most of those runs that you saw were off him, because they all realise now, just stand behind him, because he doesn't turn around, he doesn't look for you. And for Mendy, is it what's he called? He plays for Leeds. Pablo Hernandez.
Yeah, he's injured though. Yeah,
because he would have been perfect. He's not got the pace he used to have.
No.
He's a clever player, and I think that's what Mendy would struggle with, unfortunately, because he would have been ideal. So that's why I wanted to check. But I'm going to go with 2-2.
Sorry, I'm laughing there. NK says City are going to lose 4-3 and then spend another 100 million on Sunday, which is quality. Loranger says at the moment Leeds are fitter than City, which is fair. Excellent shout about Rodri, says Super Tiger.
Thank you.
Rufus says Leeds will be boosted by Jesus not being fit. I think the way Joe spoke there, I think that's a fair assessment. Let me see.
I think we're obviously without Jack Harrison. He scored that lovely goal against Alexander
great
Arnold.
goal.
Yeah, he's on loan from City. It's his parent club, so he can't play, which is a huge loss. Because Alioski, who come in, he'll run, he'll cause problems, but his final ball, his decision making, sometimes it's like a kid in a school playground. You know, there's a cutback there, and he'll just put his foot through it and go for goal. You know, so he could cut a frustrating figure, but hopefully he knows the system. He'll do what's required. Just need to make sure his decision making and his final ball's on song. Because, like you said,
if he's unsure, just hit it at Mendy. Something will happen.
Yeah.
Arjun said if Leeds go up, City will struggle. They don't have it in them to come from behind.
Is your captain back now, Joe?
Cooper, Cooper's back. Yeah. And we've brought in what's his face now as well, Llorente as well. You know, so he's another option at centre back as well from Real Sociedad. So,
very good. Rajiv says 3-3 Leeds Man City is his prediction. I'll have that all day long. 5:30 on a Saturday and a 3-all draw. Shame about Cousins failing a medical. Says Rajiv. Yeah, strange one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit like the Dan James. He was done. He was in Leeds. He'd had his everything was signed, 5-year deal. We had a deal with Bayern Munich with a buyback clause and all this sort of stuff. Exciting talent, and then he's failed a medical. But listen, the good thing is, a couple of seasons ago, under different management, we bought broken footballers.
Yeah.
And I look on social media now and see people kicking off. But ultimately, why take a gamble on a player that could be broken? Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't do it. I know it's frustrating. We do need another body for Pablo in terms of long-term replacement. And we'll get it done, man. It's going to be exciting on Monday for us, I think.
Yeah. We're a bit of luck. Right. Have we done our predictions? We have, haven't we? You two have. Have you done yours, Joe?
No, I'm gonna go 3-2 Leeds United.
Lovely.
Big game.
Lovely.
Yeah,
I'll take that over. I'll take that over to 3-3, especially if Patrick Bamford is doing it at 88 minutes and takes off his top to reveal a picture of the Sheffield United manager underneath, which would just be poetic. His name always escapes me. That Sheffield United manager. I always forget it. What's his name? Sheffield United's manager. Wilder.
Chris Wilder.
Yeah. I always forget it. Every time I try to say Sheffield United's manager name, it goes. But what are you having on this, Chris? 2-2. A lot of people in the chat. A lot of people in the chat have 3-3 and stuff. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Leeds win.
Good.
I think it all depends how it starts. If City go up, they love that, especially early. But if Leeds go up, I think they're getting a second and City fighting back to get 2-1. I'd love a Leeds 2-1. I'd love it. And Liverpool to win the following day and put 12 and 12 and City are sitting there with, I don't know, 3 points. I don't know.
Yeah. If that was to happen, Gav, how many more games before he walks?
He doesn't leave until they get out of the Champions League. I genuinely believe that they could finish 8th in the league if they won the Champions League, and they wouldn't give a shit. You know what I mean? They could finish, but if they keep coming first or second, third, fourth, right, and they're not winning the Champions League, you go, not too sure. If they win the Champions League, they won't give a fuck where they finish. They won't care. You know what I mean? And that's it. That's it now. You know, and there's actually an argument there to think that at some stage they might just put all their eggs in the Champions League basket and just literally tailor their season to it and fuck the league as one big last go. Because a year out of the Champions League means nothing to see. Nothing, you know. Just offer their players a few more extra quid to stay with them. That's just how it works. But I can't see him at City next season, I'm being honest with you. I think if he went out of the Champions League in, say, the quarterfinals this season in a fashion that's either heartbreaking or trounced and nothing in between, he won't be there. His contract's up at the end of the season. So there you go.
Signed, does he?
There you go. Right, lads, before we go, I promised us 45 minutes. We're now at 62 minutes because I'm obviously a fucking lawyer. I can't tell the time. 3 anytime goal scorers for the weekend. Joe, I'm going to come to you first.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah.
Pat Bamford.
Yeah.
And Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
Okay. Nice. Chris, who have you got?
Are we allowed any of the same players, or I've got to pick 3?
Yeah, no, you can have whoever you want, yeah.
Because I'll definitely Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah.
Lacazette.
Yeah.
And Bruno Fernandes.
Oh, it's very interesting because my 3 are Danny Ings, home to West Brom.
Good shout.
Right. Calvert-Lewin and Bruno Fernandes, because I got told the other day, start backing people's penalties takers. Start backing penalty takers.
Oh, we should back Salah, shouldn't we? We should back Salah.
Yeah, we should. So there you go. Oh, people are flying in. Salah, Aubameyang and Kane for them. Is it Sulav? Yeah, Sulav. Edward has Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Jamie Vardy, good show, and Firmino. Let me see. I think that was the only one. They were the only 2 already that put in 3 players. Oh no. Brian Murray, Harry Kane, Jota, and Vardy. Vardy is a good show, actually. He is a good show. At home against West Ham, I think he's a really, really good show. Lads, anything else before we go? All happy?
LFC Wimbledon have had a good start to the season, which is nice.
Yeah, you love talking about these.
Yeah, 2 wins and a draw in the Championship, so they're doing quite well, and they've got Coventry on Sunday.
Good stuff. Keep an eye out for it. Jeffrey Anthony says Sterling, Bamford and Salah. NK has Ings, Jota and Kane. Rajiv says Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Fernandez and Mason Mount gets a show. Dylan Westwood has Salah, Calvert-Lewin and Vardy. And let me see. Barry Devaney says Jimenez against Fulham. He could get a haul of goals.
That's a good show, Jimenez.
Hasn't really started the season great though, I will say that.
But it is Fulham.
It is Fulham. Mega McCallion has gone with Vardy, Ings and Fernandez. I'm much the same only, except Calvert-Lewin for Vardy. I forgot all about Vardy, I'm being honest. Lads, it's been a cracking show. It's been a cracking chat on a Friday night. Chris and Joe, I think, is going to all agree, have been excellent during this hour of having to deal with me. And listen, it's been brilliant. I hope everyone enjoys the football over the weekend. I hope Leeds win and I hope Liverpool win. And I'm not just saying that because Joe was on and this is a Liverpool. Well, I am saying it because it's a Liverpool YouTube. So, there's no point in coming on going, "Well, listen, if we lose, who cares?" But Joe, where can people find you for this content over the weekend and beyond?
Yeah, so I'm going to make another plea. We're almost at 18k. I asked you last weekend if you'd get us to 18k and you didn't. Okay. So after this, head over to All Leeds TV and hit the subscribe button and you can watch our watch along tomorrow against Man City.
Perfect. Because what you could do is then you could turn the telly down and watch Joe instead doing the commentary.
Exactly, that's the way.
Good show. Yeah. Is it on Sky at 5:30?
Yeah.
Oh, well then, would Martin Tyler be in then?
No, Tyler's doing our game at 7:30.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, jeez. There's always something to ruin the weekend, isn't there?
It's normally me as well.
Yeah. But look, that's definitely it. There's been a cracking amount of people in the chat tonight. We have tried our best to read out as much as we can. We've also tried our best to put as much as we can on the screen because that's the feedback that we got. So we're trying our best because we're the best boys and we're not being bold about the comments anymore. That has been the Friday forecast from the LFC Daytrippers. Thanks a minute to Joe. Thanks a minute to Chris. I've been Gav. Have a great weekend. Over and out.